Hey, this is Dave. Here we are for this episode of Living an Abundant Life. We are in Las Vegas, Nevada for the Pac-12 basketball tournament, and these are the four gentlemen, or us four gentlemen are the G5 Summit. The G5 Summit stands for God, Guys, Golf, Grub, and Games. And we've been meeting now for the last 24 years. We've had 23 meetings in the last 24 years. And Curtis, tell us a little bit about how this all started.
Well, thanks, Dave. I was at a conference about 25 years ago, and I don't remember a whole lot about what the speaker said, except for the fact that he used this anecdote about meeting with a bunch of guys. It was called the Benton Springs Coalition, and how he'd been meeting with these guys for the last 25 years and sharing their lives and just building friendship around activity and time spent together. I thought, wow, that would be so cool if I could do that. So on the way home, I was thinking about it, kind of praying about it. I got back to the house and I asked Lynn, what do you think about me getting together with a group of guys? And she said, I think it'd be awesome. And so she said, who would you choose? And I said, well,
it wasn't us, probably.
Well, no. Well, we were in campus ministry, so we spent a lot of time with college students. And so, not a lot of people our own age. And so I thought, what about guys that stood up with me at my wedding? And so Dave and Rex and Doug all were groomsmen in our wedding. And so I approached Dave and Rex, and they were in Eugene. Then I called Duggar, and everybody was like totally in. And kind of my focus and my goal for it was that we would spend quality time together year after year, investing in building relationships and maintaining strong spiritual friendships. And we didn't name it the G5 Summit right off the bat. Right. We were thinking about different kinds of names, and then I got to think about the G8 Summit, all those countries that get together to protect the world or whatever. And I thought, well, what about the G5 Summit? God, Guys, Games, Golf, and Grub. And so we kind of set it into motion. And like you said, 24 years later, 23 consecutive times in a row we've met, and it's been pretty amazing.
Yep. It has been. I was remiss, so on my left, far left, is Rex Jane. This is Curtis Cole. Curtis we're cousins as well. And then this is Doug Adkins. And probably the main glue that's held us together is we put God at the top of the G5 Summit, and we make sure that every day we spend quality time with God, and that's through a devotion, that's through prayer. We've had over the years we've done different things like. What have we done?
Well, like devotion, sometimes what we would do is, say Doug would take day number 1, he'd open up the scripture, talk about something the Lord had been doing in his life or revealing to him over the course of the last year. And then day 2, Dave, myself on the third day, and then case may be it would be Rex. But we've also read some books together, right?
Yep.
And read them in advance, like a book called Halftime.
Yeah.
And we also read a book called Uncommon by the coach.
Tony Dungy.
Yeah. And one of my favorites as well was Eric Metaxas wrote a book called 7 Men. And so we all took a chapter, and each chapter was about a different godly man, Christian man who made a difference in the world.
Yep.
And then we just kind of led a discussion around the subject of that guy and how it impressed us. I think I chose Smith Wigglesworth and his investment in other guys and being a revivalist and all of the rest. You chose who?
Chuck Colson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With Prison Ministries.
Right, with Prison Ministries during the Nixon administration. He gained his infamy during the Nixon administration, then gave his life to the Lord and went into prison ministries because he was in prison initially because of the Nixon administration. Doug, who'd you choose?
Eric Little,
Track
and field, Olympic medalist,
Mm-hmm.
and an evangelist.
So he was the one that Chariots of Fire was about, correct? So that may be where you've heard that name. Rex?
Jackie Robinson, and his dealings and coming up through Major League Baseball, and dealing with racist people in his life, and struggles and how he dealt with that, and where we come today.
Yeah.
So all these guys, just kind of, their stories influenced our lives. So just one more example of a book we read. There was one other one too, I think.
Who Moved My Cheese, I think, was the first book we came up. It was talking about changing, not just in the workplace, but in your lives, and how to deal with overcoming the changes. And good book. Little short read, really good book though.
Yeah.
So whether it was books or devotions or just sharing about our lives, just a way of, like we said earlier, just maintaining and building our spiritual friendships with God, like you said, Dave, being the center.
Yeah. So the first book you mentioned was Halftime, and it talked about the second half of your life, and it was probably about 5 or 6 years ago, and we all were right around that fifth. Well, the three of us
Yes.
were right around that 50.
Thanks.
You were about 65 then?
Yeah.
There's
Pushing
an
70.
old guy at the table, right? Doug.
So anyways, Halftime was moving into the second half of your life, and it talked about that adjustment, and that really it's led into the next 5 years, and now probably for us the next 5 years after that is that what are we going to do through the retirement years, after retirement, and not just with the G5 Summit, but with our life. And it wasn't all just financial; it was everything. Is that you need to have continue that purpose in your life, and that book particularly made a very powerful impact on me. The importance of having a plan for the future of my life.
Absolutely, just being intentional, taking the time that you need to make the second half of your life count.
Yeah, we've done fun things. I mean, we like fun. We like to laugh, and we like to do fun things. And like we're in Las Vegas this week to see the Pac-12 tournament. Unfortunately, Oregon Ducks, that's our team. We're all pretty closely tied to Eugene, Oregon. Oregon is not very good in basketball. They lost yesterday, and so we're not going to be going to any more basketball games. But that's what we focused this one around.
Not the first time we've been disappointed with an Oregon game. That's for sure. But we've had fun.
Yeah.
We
So
did go to an Oregon game in Arizona.
Arizona.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did go to a football game in Arizona where, 9 or 10 years ago, where we were highly ranked. I think we were top 5 in the country. We're coming against an Arizona football team that was pretty hot, but it shouldn't have been a big game. And, we had hopes of national championship games, or at least getting invited to the BCS. And we went in there and had a pretty good quarterback by the name of Marcus Mariota. Thing was looking really good, and then the game started. And it kind of went downhill from there. And, we just got shellacked. I mean, the funny part was that, throughout the game, as bad as it got, and as the Oregon fans left the game early, prematurely, and we were up there cheering for a team that was getting blown out by 30 points. And at the end of the game, the Arizona fans rushed the field. And I'm not sure who it was, Dave or Curtis or who, but it said, let's rush the field. And so as Oregon fans, we rushed the field with all these Arizona fans, which was just a hoot.
Yeah,
and we
that's
get
fun.
down there, and next thing I hear Curtis holler, and he's tackling Doug on the field in the middle of these thousands of fans, and then some girl starts yelling "dog pile," and next thing I know, Doug's on the bottom of a pile, and it was a great memory.
He likes to think he was miserable, but this was a young co-ed, and she was dogpiling on Doug.
My back's still feeling it.
But memories like that. So we have memories that just stand out throughout the years that we've done. Another G is Grub. We like to take a special time and have a special meal or a couple meals. Case in point, last night we were in Las Vegas. We went to the Top of the World, which is the Stratosphere, the Strat. They have a restaurant at the top of their big, I don't know what that's
108
called.
stories high.
Yeah, 108 stories high, and it's a rotating restaurant. And it's not a place that we would normally go to. It's not a place that we would normally afford, but it was a special, we consider this a very special occasion. Curtis and I had sat through a couple presentations here at the World Mark. We're at a timeshare, and we got American Express card gift cards, and so we were able to drive the price down. But the meal was fantastic, and we try to always find a really good meal, at least one, but as often as we can.
Yeah. Our wives are surprised we can actually cook, so we make breakfast almost every morning, eggs, and sausage or bacon, as the case may be, and have some chips and salsa later in the day or whatever. But yeah, it's always fun to have some good food together.
Yeah.
We've traveled to quite a few places in thinking about it.
Yeah.
We've gone.
Yeah.
I don't know how many different golf courses and stuff, but we think we said 7 or 8 different
locations,
and it's been fun to meet up in different locations.
Just to keep it lively, we try not. So every few years we've switched around.
Mm-hmm. Been to Montana, been to Arizona, 3 different destinations there. We went to Rex's cabin, his sister's cabin. Tammy, big shout out to Tamara. Appreciate their generosity. Her husband. We were there for 5 years.
Palm Springs.
Yeah.
Hawaii.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good times. So we're very competitive. We like to play games. We really want to beat each other. I mean that's a driving force for us. But at the end of the day, I get emotional. At the end of the day, these are 3 of my biggest supporters, and. So this year, so there are times when we've had to take some detours or gotten to take some detours. This year I had a wonderful opportunity to meet with my cousin David Hill, who I hadn't seen in 28 years, and I thought Rex and Curtis were coming in later. I didn't know Doug was coming in about the same time as I was. I thought I'd go see him by myself before they got here. Doug was here, and I told him I wanted to go see him, and he was just so supportive, and I had a wonderful time meeting with David, and it just was really a blessing in my life, and I know there's been other situations where we've done similar type things.
Yeah.
Curtis.
Well, last year we had flown into Palm Springs, but because of COVID, they messed up our reservation. So here we are, stranded. Don't know where we're going to go. But Rex, you had some connections.
Yeah, I've got a couple nephews that owned a big house up in Big Bear Lake, California. So we did a little detour.
Yeah, so we drove up to the mountain. So we started out like 75-degree weather in Palm Springs. Ended up in the mountains, bunch of snow.
Freezing.
Exactly, but it was beautiful. And then on the way back, I said, well, we can go back the other way to Palm Springs, or we loop around this way. I could swing by and see my aunt and uncle, Calvin and Marilyn Brewer. And it was really an amazing opportunity, pretty serendipitous, because Marilyn had been suffering for a number of years with brain cancer. And the guy said, yeah, sure, go ahead. We'll drive around the block, go get some gas. And I said, well, it probably won't be very long, because she's been suffering quite a bit. Turned out that was the last time I got to see her, and it was pretty sobering, but it was just a great time, and I appreciated, like you said, just ministry opportunities, both, around this table, but also with other people that are really important. I think about 2 years before that, if I remember right, our cousin Christian Cole came down at the tail end, and we got to spend some really quality time with him, and we had not been... the 3 of us anyways together, and we went to the top of the mountain there on the tram in Palm Springs, and it was just really a powerful time. So it's really interesting what God does in the moments together. And Dave was mentioning kind of emotional, right? But I mean, there's a lot of laughter, there's a lot of teasing, a lot of joking, but just also a lot of tears, because we've gone through a lot of things in our lives. We've talked about marriages, our families, ups and downs in our career, transitions in jobs. Doug, talk about commitment to this group. Doug has now multiple years in a row flown back from Brazil, where you're living. And Doug, and we appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yep.
Good to be here, I think.
Speaking of Doug, so another kind of funny Doug story. Actually, I don't know why all these stories end up with Doug as the punchline.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Exactly. So we're playing golf. Rex mentioned we played golf probably, about 88 rounds of golf we figured over the years. No golf this year, but in years gone by we have played regularly. So we're at Jack Nicklaus course in Big Fork, Montana. and we're playing on the 17th hole, and there's a whole flock of ducks. You would think we'd be duck fans. We'd kind of scare them off. Duck just decides to tee it high and let it fly really low, and put one right in the backside of the duck. Killed him, laid him flat out.
I had a great shot. That duck hurt me.
We were talking this morning. We tend to always, we got the G5 summit, and we came up with the 4 C's. Commitment. We're very committed to this, to the getting together. Consistency. We've been very consistent. Confidentiality. What we share here, we don't spread that around. It stays with the 4 guys. And care, how much we care about each other. So we came up with the 4 C's.
Yeah, well, and there's technically 5, but I do want to comment on just like that consistency and commitment, because when I talked to you guys about getting together, you said, hey, I said, let's do it for 5 years.
Yeah.
And would you make that commitment? And everybody was faithful to that. And after 5 years, I said, hey, we can reboot. We can say, hey, that was fun, but no more. But you guys ended up for another year, not just one more year, but now it's been 23 years in a row, which has been, or 23 times in a row, which has been really amazing.
Yeah.
And I do think if you're wanting to live an abundant life and, meeting together with guys and you're kind of inspired by this, I think, being committed to each other, committed to confidentiality, like you said, but committed year after year. And I want to say thank you to you guys in particular, because we could have let something else get in the way, right? Yeah. And we have moved it around. That's why it's been 23 out of 24 years. But we really haven't missed, and we've said, there's been weddings, there's been funerals, there's been job changes, but we've said year after year we're going to be committed to the G5 summit. Yeah. And the 5th G is, like you already said, the fifth C, right?
C.
So it matches the 5G would be competition. And typically Doug and I win at everything we do. So much so that in the last couple of years we've had to break it up a little bit, right? Because these guys have just been such bad losers.
Yeah, that's true, don't you?
Probably with aging, he's losing his memory.
Come on,
remember, one of the competitions we had was in Phoenix. We went to a place called Octane.
Oh, yeah.
It was a go-kart racing,
Go-karts.
indoor, outdoor. That was a lot of fun. Goggles Paisan over here joined us racing. He thought it was a bumper cart little place there, but we had a lot of fun.
Yeah, they about kicked us out because we're bumping each other around the track. So,
the other thing I think is really fun about this too, you guys, is how many people are really fascinated by the fact that we've been meeting together like this for this many years.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy and proud, if you will, to kind of talk about it. I'll talk about it with whoever I run into, but people say, man, that's really a great idea. I wish my husband did that. I wish I did that. And I know I've heard you guys say the same. Guys you work with,
Well, you had a great thing even this trip in getting out here.
Well, I did have some delays, weather issues. So I was on the phone with the Delta desk trying to get my flights rearranged, and I said, I've got to get to Vegas for this G5 summit. And she says, what's the G5 summit? So I said, well, hey, it's a time where a bunch of friends of mine get together, and we call it the G5 because it's God, guys, grub, games, and golf. And she said, that's really amazing. She said, what do you do there? And I said, well, we just like we've been sharing with you. I said, we look to build and maintain, our spiritual friendship. So we're praying together, we're reading God's word together, we're just invested in each other's lives. And she said, well, I am so blessed to find out about this today, she said. And she said, I got to get you to Las Vegas. And then it just, all of a sudden, the clouds kind of parted, and she found me flights, and I thought I was going to be 24 hours delayed, and I was just 6 or 7 hours setback.
So that's just a quick little snippet of, or maybe not little, but it's an example of something in my life particular, but our life that has really contributed to making our lives more abundant. And so I hope maybe this speaks to somebody, especially a young guy, that it's a good idea to get together with your friends Guys quite often they shy away from letting their emotions out or becoming vulnerable, and I just think how important that has been to us, to be vulnerable with one another and to let each of us support each of us and make our lives better. Quick shout out to our wives.
Mm-hmm.
They've been so understanding,
Sweetheart.
and they've encouraged us to do this. And there have been times when they've had to make sacrifices for us to do this, and so thank you for that. But I want to encourage, especially guys, and if you're young or old, doesn't matter, but young guys, take an opportunity to find some friends and get together with them every year and spend some quality time. So thanks for watching today. This has been a lot of fun for me. This is the first time I've done this with an interview or podcast or whatever type format, and I didn't know if it'd work, and I think it's, at least from this side of the camera, it's been fun. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. Hit that like button. If you have a comment, go ahead and comment. Say anything, good, bad. Say something bad about Doug. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, I want you to have a great day. God bless you.
Goodbye.